This is the story of something that happened to me not too long ago. I haven't told many people about it because, well, most wouldn't believe it. But since you're asking for a real scare, sit back, listen carefully, and don't interrupt. I need to get this all out. Just remember, it started like any ordinary night. I live in a quiet town. Not too big, not too small. It's the kind of place where people still leave their doors unlocked sometimes, and the streetlights flicker just enough to make you think you saw something move in the dark. You know the kind of town I'm talking about. Peaceful, but with something hidden under the surface. It was around 11:30 at night when I decided to go for a walk. I used to do that a lot, clear my head, put on some music, and just walk the streets while the world slept. That night was no different. Or at least that's what I thought. I threw on a hoodie, stuffed my hands in the pockets, and stepped outside. The air was cold and still. The kind of cold that makes your breath come out in clouds and the silence wrap around you like a blanket. I took my usual route. Down Oak Ridge Lane, past the little church with the broken bell, through the park that always smelled faintly of wet leaves. Everything was quiet, just the way I liked it. But the deeper I walked into the night, the more something started to feel wrong. Not loud wrong, subtle. Like someone had turned the world's volume down just a little too low. About 20 minutes in, I noticed the streetlights behind me were turning off one by one. I stopped walking. I looked back. The lights were off from the direction I came, but ahead, they were still on. I stood there for a moment, telling myself it was probably just a faulty circuit or maybe the town saving power. But something inside me, the part that doesn't speak in words, just feelings, started to squirm. Still, I pushed on. I told myself I was being silly. I even laughed a little, just to hear my own voice. That was my first mistake. As I got closer to the end of Oak Ridge, I noticed a man standing under the last working streetlight. He was facing the other way, standing perfectly still, too still, like he was a statue someone had placed there as a joke. I slowed my steps. I was maybe 30 feet away. He hadn't moved an inch. I cleared my throat, just in case he was waiting for someone and didn't hear me coming. Still, no movement. I was about to turn around when he suddenly turned his head, not his body, just his head, and looked right at me. Now I want you to imagine this clearly. You know how when someone looks at you, you can feel it? Like a small shock running down your spine? That's what it felt like, except it wasn't just a shock. It was like he reached out and touched the back of my neck without moving. His eyes were wide, too wide, like they didn't belong in a human face, and they were completely black. No whites, just two deep, empty holes staring right into me. I froze. I couldn't move, couldn't blink, couldn't breathe right. And then he smiled. Not a friendly smile, not even an evil smile. It was empty, like he was copying what he thought a human smile looked like. Then, without warning, he started walking toward me. Slow, deliberate. Each step echoed like it was hitting concrete, even though we were standing on grass. I tried to back up, but my legs weren't working right. I felt heavy, like I was standing waist-deep in cold water. But somehow, I turned and ran. I didn't look back. Not until I got to the edge of the park, where the old wooden bridge crosses that dry creek bed. I stopped to catch my breath, bent over with my hands on my knees. My heart was pounding so hard it felt like it was trying to punch through my ribs. I looked back toward the park. He wasn't there. No sign of anyone. I laughed. This time it was louder, more forced. Maybe I imagined it. Maybe it was a trick of the light and my tired mind. But I couldn't explain how real it felt. I knew what I saw. I knew what I felt. That should have been the end of it, right? I should have gone home. But I didn't. I wanted to prove to myself that I wasn't crazy. So I took a detour down Hollow Creek Road. It's a path that circles back to my house from the other side of the neighborhood. But not many people use it. It's quiet, surrounded by woods, and the only light comes from the moon. About halfway down the road, I heard footsteps behind me. Not fast, just steady, calm. I stopped. They stopped. I started walking again. They started again. I turned suddenly. No one. My breath caught in my throat. I stared into the darkness behind me, but nothing moved. Not a leaf, not a shadow. The night was still. I picked up my pace. Just a bit. The footsteps returned. Louder this time. And then I heard something worse than footsteps. Breathing. Not mine. Slow, ragged breathing. Like someone who was trying not to be heard but couldn't help it. It was so close I could almost feel it on the back of my neck. I ran. I ran harder than I ever have in my life. My legs were burning. My lungs felt like fire. But I didn't stop. Not until I burst out of the tree-lined road and back into the neighborhood. I didn't care how loud my footsteps were now. I sprinted the last few blocks to my house, slammed the door behind me, and locked every single bolt I had. I didn't sleep that night. But that's not where the story ends. See, when I finally got the courage to leave the house the next day, I went back to the park. In the daylight, it looked normal again. Safe. But when I walked over to the spot where I saw the man, something caught my eye. In the dirt, right where he had been standing, were footprints. Not just one or two, dozens, all pointing in different directions, as if several people or things had been standing there with him. And in the middle of them, etched into the ground, were two words scratched in deep. Keep walking. It changed me. So, where were we? Right. The footprints. The words in the dirt. Keep walking. At first I tried to tell myself it was a prank. Maybe someone else saw that man in the park. Someone who wanted to mess with people. But those footprints, I remember them so clearly. They weren't all from shoes. Some of them looked barefoot. Long. Thin. And others didn't even look human. That should have been the last time I walked at night. I told myself it was. But curiosity's a dangerous thing. Especially when it mixes with fear. I started noticing things in the days that followed. Small things. My phone's flashlight would flicker even when fully charged. My dog, Molly, usually friendly and playful, would growl at the window around midnight, staring into the dark like she knew something was out there. And then came the dreams. Or were they dreams? I'd wake up at exactly 3:07 a.m. every single night, heart racing, soaked in sweat. I'd dream I was standing under that same broken streetlight in the park, and he was there again. The man with the black eyes. Only this time, he wasn't alone. Shadows stood behind him. Tall, thin, with heads tilted sideways like they didn't quite understand how to look at me. And they were whispering. I couldn't understand the words, but I knew, deep down, they were talking about me. And every night before I'd wake up, they'd all say it together. Keep walking. One night, I'd had enough. I told myself I was done being afraid. I stayed up, made coffee, sat in my chair with every light on in the house. 3:07 came. Nothing happened. I laughed, too loud, like someone trying to scare the dark away. But then, my phone buzzed, unknown number. No message, just a photo. I opened it and felt my heart drop. It was a picture of me, standing at my window, taken from outside, and right behind me, just barely visible in the reflection of the glass, was him. The man from the park. I turned around so fast I nearly tripped. No one was there. But when I looked out the window, I saw the smallest thing that nearly made me scream. Fingerprints. From the outside. Pressed against the glass. I didn't sleep for days after that. My mind was breaking. I tried deleting the photo. It kept reappearing. I smashed my phone. It still rang. I went to the police, showed them what I could. They gave me a look like I was either insane or wasting their time. One officer humored me and said he'd check out the park. He didn't come back. A different cop came to my door the next day and said Officer Daniels had gone missing, vanished during his patrol. They found his car near the old church on Oak Ridge Lane, engine running, door open, lights still on, but no Daniels. That's when I knew I had to go back. I know it sounds stupid, but I needed answers, or I needed to end it. So I picked a night. I wrote a note, just in case, locked my door, and I went walking, back to Oak Ridge Lane, back to the park. This time there were no working streetlights. Every single one was dark, like something was waiting. I stepped into the park. Nothing. No wind, no animals, just silence. I walked past the swings, past the bench with the carving that said J+L forever. And then I saw it, scratched into a tree near the old bridge. You're almost there. The hairs on my arms stood up. I turned around, and the fog rolled in. Thick, fast, like someone had dumped it all at once. I could barely see a foot in front of me. But then I heard it. The breathing. Slow. Deep. Hungry. I knew that sound. And I wasn't alone. Out of the fog they started to appear. Not just him, but them. The things from my dreams. The ones with heads too high. Bodies that moved wrong, like marionettes without strings. They didn't walk, they glided. I wanted to run, but I couldn't. My legs were heavy again, like something was holding me in place. Then he stepped forward, closer than before. Those black eyes stared into mine, and I felt him inside my head. And he whispered something. This time I could understand him. He said, "Keep walking, or stay with us." And I understood the choice. If I kept walking, kept wandering these roads every night, I'd live. But the moment I stopped, the moment I rested, they'd come for me. And I'd become one of them. That's what happened to the others. The man from the photo. Officer Daniels. They stopped walking. They gave in to the fear. And now, they walk with him. I don't remember how I got home that night. All I remember is waking up on my porch, barefoot, with dirt under my nails and my hoodie ripped at the sleeve. My watch said 3:07 a.m. It always does now, and so I walk. Every night, rain, wind, doesn't matter. Because if I stop, if I ever stop, they'll come. They're always watching. Always waiting. And sometimes I still get messages, still get pictures. Sometimes I see new people in them. People I don't recognize. People who might have just gone for a midnight stroll in their neighborhood, thinking it would be peaceful. So if you ever feel like taking a late-night walk, if you ever get the urge to clear your head, take a quiet stroll down an empty street. Don't, because he's out there. They all are. And once they've seen you, they never stop watching. Keep walking. Or don't. But just know, if you stop, you'll join the story too.